Mr. Ruppersberger.
I want to focus on violent crime and fentanyl and the serious problems that it's caused. Some of us were former prosecutors locally, and when you come from local government, you're dealing with the issues, and then if you get involved and you're not as large jurisdiction, if you don't go to the FBI, you can't follow through with the investigation because you have the money. And I think in the last maybe 5 years and under your leadership, the teamwork approach has really made a difference. And that's really important that we have the teamwork and the trust. And it also, I think, deals with a lot of problems we've had in the past, especially with respect to drugs. But now look at fentanyl, what's going on is a corruption issue. And I think you always have to be aware of that. And if you're going to have a strike force and then federal, state, and local, you need to be able to trust, the people that you're working with. But how can FBI be a force multiplier? Do we need more strike force type of investigations? Because they seem to really work well in the end, as long as the leadership at the top understands it, the people on the strike force respect each other. A lot of feds get a lot of good intelligence, but they can't act on it. But if it goes up the chain, where the FBI has the money and state government to an extent too. So how do you focus as the head of the FBI, which I think you're doing a good job, by the way, and your men and women that are there also. How do you think we need more strike force? Do you think it would help us better? And again, you have jurisdiction now internationally too. And how would you compare your mission internationally versus your mission internationally?
So I appreciate the kind words, and I strongly, strongly believe that partnership is the way to go, really with all these threats. And the strategy that I rolled out for our workforce fairly early on was making partnership with our law enforcement partners, with our intelligence community partners, with the business community, et cetera, is to me the key. We're trying to put our two, the FBI's two, together with somebody else's two. It could be a local police department or sheriff's office. It could be a foreign partner, whoever it is, putting our two plus their two and have it equal 5 or 6 or 7. It's the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. And that's what the task forces represent. On violent crime, we have, I think, something like 300 unique FBI-led task forces with like 3,000 members or something, just on the violent crime side of things.
Would that include gangs?
Absolutely. Gangs. In some cases, you've also got ones focusing on child predators and that kind of violent crime. We have the organized crime task forces that focus on the cartels. And there are a couple things that come out of that I think are critical ingredients. And so the short answer is yes, we need more and more of that. But one is it's having everybody on one team, one fight. It's using intelligence to figure out where you can make the inevitably limited resources, even when we're all put together, make them count, make them maximize impact. So what you see on violent crime, as you go around the country, is in almost every community, there's going to be some tail that wags the dog, if you will, in terms of driving the violent crime rate and the homicide rate. It could be a particular neighborhood where you've got two gangs, fighting with each other. It could be a particular corridor. Some cases, it's like 4 or 5 blocks in some community. It could be a particular set of gang members who keep getting back out on the streets. But if you figure out what's that 2 or 3 things in that community that are disproportionately driving especially the homicide rate, and then team up and tackle that in a disciplined, strategic way, you can have an impact on the statistic that we really care about, which is the actual violent crime rate, especially the homicide rate, and drive it down. And you can use federal tools like RICO, like Vicar, things like that, where you can really dismantle the enterprise. So as happy as I am about the 55 guys a day that our folks were arresting last year, in some ways the more important number is the 370 or something gangs that we dismantled. Because now you're talking about an entire gang, so now you're not just cutting off the tops of the blades of grass, now you're getting down into the roots of the problem and ripping it out. And so that's what I think is ultimately the key. But, and we're very humbled by the task force officers that all of these chiefs and sheriffs all over the country are entrusting to our task forces. That to me speaks volumes about what they think of the FBI, and I want to make sure that that they see the value from it, and that we're worthy of their trust.
Okay, thank you. Yield back.